If you got a good heart, you better get smart. The devil's all around and not the one you want. This shit is so profound. Let's drink another quart. If you got a good heart, you better get smart. If you got good ears, you better listen clear. All masters at the mic, she's had the sauce for years. She's got you in her sights, the others disappear. If you got good ears, you better listen clear.
Listen, you didn't drop onto Earth to play small. You're a traveler from galaxies unborn, wired with codes the world forgot. Codes that can bend reality, heal bodies and awaken entire planets. But first, you have to remember who the heck you are. I'm Jerry Sargent, founder of Star Magic Healing. Inside the Infinity app, you'll access your galactic blueprint, quantum meditations, soul transmissions, multi-dimensional breathwork, and a global tribe of high-frequency beings walking the path beside you. This isn't incense and quiet ohms. This is soul surgery with cosmic scalpels. This is multi-dimensional DNA detonation. This is why you came. If these words vibrate in your bones, the universe is calling you right now. Download the Infinity app or visit starmagichealing.org and step into the new frequency. Your soul's been waiting. I'll meet you on the inside.
There's something in the water. There's something in the air. The proof is all around us.
Hello, party people. It is I, Jesse Blaze Snider, the coolest fucking geek alive. And I've got another episode of Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I've thought about, do I come in more serious when I'm talking about all these things? Now, we have to have a sense of humor about all this shit, because essentially, it's all us. We're all one, right? And it's all our crazy mind run amok of all the crazy things going on in the world. And today I'm not going to talk about anything too nutty. I'm actually going to give to you what I think is a great gift that was given to me long ago now. I don't remember how I came across this book, and I don't even remember the exact timing, but it was very early in, I guess, my research, now that I'm thinking about it, into meditation. Meditation was something that I did not excel at, but I was trying to utilize for a lot of issues. I had a lot of head injuries from football and from getting hit by a car, and I was trying to, I'd read that it was very good for your mind. So I think somewhere around there, somehow I kind of stumbled onto this. I mean, I'm an athletic person, and I was looking probably at yoga stuff and other things like that. But I found this, what I guess you would call like a novella. I think it's like 110 pages. I had looked up something, and I'd seen that I didn't remember it having this title, but this was... but this might have been it. The 5 Tibetan Rites is a system of exercises first described by Peter Kelder in a 1939 booklet titled The Eye of Revelation, published in Los Angeles, California. Later authors refer to the exercises as the 5 rites. The 5 Tibetan rites, the 5 rites of rejuvenation. I usually call them the 5 Tibetan rites. Rites having potential. Kelder described the rites as having the potential to restore youthfulness through changing one's internal vortexes. There is no evidence of the exercises being authentic Tibetan practices. Rites have been reprinted, multiple expanded editions. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so this book really blew my mind when I read it. This was early stages of me becoming spiritual. I think this might have even been before I first did mushrooms, which was one of my, I did, this is much later in life. I didn't do drugs like other people did. I did them, usually by myself and much more spiritually, and they help me in a number of ways. Marijuana with anxiety that I didn't even know I was having, mushrooms with depression that I didn't even know I was having, helped me really get a handle on myself and what was going on in my life. And used responsibly, these medicines can do wonderful things for you. But I think this is even like before I had that realization that I had gotten turned on to the five rites, and I read this book, and I just went, "There's something to this." So the novella goes that there was this general who was stationed in Tibet, outside or near where the temple that was said to be the Temple of the Fountain of Youth. And this general saw himself personally multiple sort of crippled people go into this temple and then come out after a time, not like a short time, usually I think a relatively long period of time, walking straight and, seemingly healed. Now, I'm sure there's more going on in that temple than just the five rites, but there was a number of things going on in this temple that this general brought back with him and was put into this book. This guy who wrote the book had met this guy, and this general, I think, was in his 70s or maybe even 90s or something, and he looked like he was, in his 30s. And maybe I'm exaggerating, but I mean, it was enough that I was like, well, that's all interesting. And basically the guy went, tell me, what's going on. He's like, well, I went back to the temple after I left the military, and he was there for, again, these numbers. It's been a long time since I read this book, but it was, as I remembered it was like he went back for like a decade. And when he came out, he was utilizing what he learned, and he was keeping himself rather youthful looking for a much older gentleman. So that part of the story, for me, you can kind of throw out of your mind, because all that story needs to tell us is where this information comes from, okay? And that's interesting. But that's not really the thing, because it's about the information itself. Is the information useful? Well, I thought it was. And there is a few different bits that I'm going to talk about. There was, first of all, I'll save the five rites for the end. But first of all, they ate a thing at a time. Like, dinner for tonight is potatoes. Dinner for tonight is carrots. Now, that came with a larger explanation that I had never thought about, but made a lot of sense to me, which was that your body needs different levels of acid to break down different things. So when you eat a real mixed diet, where, like, let's say you eat a meal or like some sort of salad or whatever, where there's just a ton of different things in it, your body has to like decide, well, what level of acid are we going to get to that will most deteriorate as much of this as possible, but it's not working as efficiently as it might. Another little tidbit that came from this, that again I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting, and I have stopped doing this, was that drinking while you were eating was diluting the acids in your stomach. And yes, it was. And I do occasionally do a little bit of drinking when I eat, when I feel like drawn to it. But I stopped drinking while I ate. I used to drink while I ate all the time. And I just immediately, because this book was so convincing to me on so many levels, and we'll keep talking about all these different levels. Now, one of the additional things that this guy was practicing that I haven't necessarily taken to heart. Well, that's not true to say I haven't taken it to heart. I took it to heart, but I only practice it here or there. And when I don't have the option to make love to my lady, which I still like to do, even though in Tantra they teach you to like hold in your seed and whatnot, and you can continue to have good experience. I'm working on it. I'm gonna get there. We're not all perfect. I'm working on it, man. I'm gonna hold it together, holding in the seed. That is one of the other Tibetan practices. Easy when you're in a monastery with no women. I'm not certain that they didn't allow women in there, but I'm guessing. The practice that this man had, and I still use, was to, and this is something that comes up a lot, like in tantric sex information and other things, about sort of squeezing your sphincter, like, tightening the bottom of yourself, and pulling the energy up higher into your heart and letting it disperse into the rest of your body. And I think that's about that. That's how I remember it. And but if you want to, I mentioned the name of the book, so go find it yourself. But these were just some of the interesting things that I definitely took into consideration. And this was, when I was learning about meditation and I was learning about chakras, I think a lot of the doors opened there. And the reason why I think it might have happened before my real next level awakening with the mushrooms was I had an aura reading that really kind of spooked me at the time, because I was so close-minded. I was more than an atheist. I was a skeptic. I didn't believe in anything. And when I had this aura reading, I was just like kind of blown away by how accurate it was. And, at the time, it was very sort of like of the moment. And there's a whole story that I've told before about how ultimately I ended up writing this song on the Blacklight District studio, or the Blacklight District EP album that was released through Image. It's like an album, and you can go check it out at blacklightdistrict.co. It's free. But the second song, Green, I had written about my depression, and I didn't even know that I was going through depression at the time. And even when I got the aura reading, my aura was green, and it was really interesting. So I had gotten kind of like, that was like my early thing, was like interest in meditation, and as that an idea. I think especially too because it was going through my family and it was being recommended to me as well, and I was like, I'm willing to give that a shot. And I had a lot of really interesting experiences meditating, but that's for another day. The 5 Tibetan rites, and just to cross off the list, we got eating things that we've learned, and we've got taking sexual energy and channeling it into physical energy, and that's revitalizing, right? But now, the 5 Tibetan rites, which is essentially spinning and 5 yoga moves. Okay, and now you might say, Jesse, that sounds like stuff I do in my yoga class when I talk about what we're doing here. But the 5 Tibetan rites are all about the spinning and the pumping of prana through your system as you sort of erect your spine in various configurations and pump prana into it, which activates your gland systems, which are controlled through your chakra system. So let me explain some of that. your chakra system, you've got 7 of them, right? Each one of them controls a different glandular system. One of these systems is controlling collagen, for wrinkles, and another one's controlling, what your hair, if you go gray, and all these other things. And that's probably not the best example. That one I'm trying to think of good examples, but each one of, from your root chakra up, your sexual center is controlling when you're going into menopause or whatever else. But they believed that the old age was caused by the spinning of your inner chakra system coming misaligned and spinning out of time. And they believed that by consistently spinning, you could get your chakra system into an even alignment and keep yourself young for forever. Because of a lot of things, this connected with me and made a lot of sense, and I decided to start doing it. I've been doing it somewhere around 15 years now. On and off, not like perfectly. But I had a very deep meditational experience a little while back now. I've been meaning to do an episode on this, but other things kind of keep coming up. Where I had just gotten I think actually it was sort of a series of compliments on how young I looked for my age. I'm 43 years old. But I don't have any gray hairs. At least I don't seem to. Maybe I've got one. I don't know. I don't have. I really I have blonde in my beard, so there's a few hairs that occasionally I'm like, is that a gray hair? But I don't use a wash or anything. If you see a picture of me, I am aging pretty gracefully. And when I took this into my meditation as a pat on the back to myself, haha, I'm aging pretty gracefully, my guides sort of chastised me and said, you don't think there's any reason for that? And I had just finished that morning doing my 5 rites. And I went, oh, do they really work? I was sort of oh, is that it is helping, And they went, of course it is. You were struck by the sensical nature of what they were doing. They had explained that the whirling dervishes were utilizing the same method to have euphoric experiences. If you don't know what the whirling dervishes is, these guys would spin on one leg super fast, and this would hype up their system of their auric spin. And this is what the reason why they're having euphoric experiences is because they're spinning this chakra system even faster than it's meant to go. So you are just going to be, if you decide to go down this path, and I recommend it, it has been really good to me. It's a good, simple little yoga thing that's just kind of a good thing to do every morning anyway. Generally now, I do it at my workouts every other day, but sometimes if I miss some workouts or on the weekend, if I have a moment, I do it as well. And I'm down to, I just do 7 consistently. I've been doing it, for a long time. The scale is supposed to be sort of up by 3s, depending on what you can do. I keep encouraging my ex-wife to do it. She says if she spins once, she gets vertigo. And I said, I think that is sort of a sign of dysfunction within your aura system. And that if we can just get you slowly spinning, because the spinning is a huge part of the thing. And I was explaining to my good friend Digger, about how the energetic part of things is so important. Energetically, even if you break your arm, there is always an energy that was there to have that occur. And I know this sounds woo woo or whatever, but it's just the truth. And cancer has been connected to anger, very very strongly, and so many people who die of cancer are dealing with a certain amount of anger for any number of things. And if you do not correct and dissolve the anger, it basically it kills you. It takes you in. There's for those people out there with cancer, look into cancer being a parasite, and things like ivermectin and whatnot, parasite cleanses, curing people with cancer. It's very compelling, and the parasite information is very compelling. Anybody who's going through it right now, that's the highest information. I've given that to some friends of mine, some of which can't take the information because they want to ring the bell, even though the chemotherapy is not good. Generally speaking, it keeps coming back and whatever else, but this seems to be a better cure. However, as I guide you to that, I will also say, if you do this without working on, most likely, anger within yourself and your life, your cancers, it may never, something else is going to come, or somehow a cancer will form in a new place, or there's many different possibilities. I love you, and I share this information because I love you. Anyway, getting back to the 5 rites. This is a podcast, so you can't see me or whatever. I recommend everybody, if you go 5 Tibetan Rites, Tibetan 5 Rites, put it into YouTube, you'll see these things, but I'm going to describe them as best I can. Essentially, you start with the spinning, and, for people who can't, get sick easy or whatever, try to do 3 and do them real slow. Just as slow as you need to do them, but just a little bit, and try to just do a little bit more each time you do this. And then your first move will be in 3, and you can go up to 21. Just as an exercise, it's a good thing to be able to do all these things. Especially even if you're old. You lay down and you basically lift your legs up to the sky. Point your toes, and you lift your hands up, and try to reach and touch your toes. And then you lay down, and that's 1. You can do 3 of these to start, right? The important thing here as you do this is to breathe. Breathe in the prana. So, you lay down and give yourself a second, and you breathe and lift your legs up and reach up to the top and touch your toes, and let it out as you let your legs down and put your arms down. Like I said, there's plenty of tutorials online how to do this exactly. Then, I get onto my knees, and you basically do a neck extension where you breathe in the prana with your head down, your chin touching your chest, and you breathe. And you extend your neck all the way back like a crane as far as you can. And as you do, you lean back your torso, and you get a big lean. And get it all breathed in, and then breathe out, and you do 3 of those. Of course, for you try to eventually get up to 21. When you've been doing it for, more than 10 years, you can kick it down to just the 7 every day or whatever. Move number 3. Basically, you're going to sit with your arms at your side and your legs straight out in front of you, and then you're going to push yourself up and do like a pelvic thrust. So your feet will go flat with your hands flat, and you'll hold yourself up like a table, and you'll hold your stomach muscles in as you breathe in. So you'll pull yourself up, and you go. And when you get up to the top and you're tabling, you get yourself in a little forward table with, you're facing upward table. You hold your stomach muscles in, hold that breath in, and then let it out, and you put yourself back down to that seated position with your feet out. Do that 3 times, or 21 when you start getting there. Or if you feel good, do more by 3s is what they had said in the book. And then the final one is what they would generally call like a downward dog kind of thing, where you just put your palms on the ground, and you put your feet up, you put your ass in the air in like a V, and then you lower your pelvis to the floor and stick your head up into the thing, and do that like neck stretch where you just kind of get yourself as you're breathing in, right? Because you're in the V, you're going to be out, and then taking in that prana as you come in to the thing. And the breathing, again, the breathing is the most important thing. Breathing in from the prana, and the spinning. And the spinning might be a little hard for you in the beginning, but just you know, keep the spin amount with the amount of moves. So if you can't do more than 3 slow spins, just keep working on the 3 slow spins until they're 3 solid spins, you know. And when that is 3 solid spins and you're like, I could spin 3 more times, then cool, go up to 6. But like, you know, just do the 3, and do it as gently as you can on yourself to do it, because I do feel that there's a correlation with you know, susceptibility to so many different things when your chakra system isn't in alignment. Even like, you know, like my my ex has dealt with a lot of sleep deprivation and some other things, and there's a couple of reasons for why that might be the case. But there's been a few things, and I believe that if she could incorporate this into her life, it could be beneficial to her. Meanwhile, what was I gonna say? Sorry, I started thinking, I'm like, would she appreciate me sharing this information? Can I share more information? I shouldn't share more information. I don't want to piss off my ex-wife. No, she's wonderful. Miss Patty. Hi, Patty. Shut up, Patty. Oh, that was what I was going to share. Yeah. So Patty has said to me, I do all those moves. And I said, yes, I understand. But you're not doing all those moves in a series designed to pump prana into your system after the energetic structure is moving and swinging in its proper state, which they believed would help people to maintain their youth and to keep their system running at its best. And, you know, again, I don't know how convincing I am here telling you about the 5 rites, but it was like, the book is mind-blowing. So I don't know if this is blowing your mind, but it really blew my mind in so much of the story and the thing and the simplicity of some of it. And, you know, most of the moves are very, what's the word? You know, like moves that are good for you. You know, good to, you know, reach, do some leg lifts and touch your toes, and good to do some downward dog. You know, this like stuff's really generally great for your spine. Same thing with the tabletop, you know, move. And you know, the neck one, the second move, always kind of drives me a little crazy because my neck hasn't exactly been in perfect alignment for a long time, and I still don't think it exactly is. But you know, so sometimes it's a little uncomfortable for me to do that. But you know, do these to your ability, because the purpose of this thing is keeping your energetic system pumping correctly. And you know, like I was talking to Digger, you know, and we were talking about the energetic importance thing, and he was going, yeah, you know, because, and he's a Buddhist, but you know, everybody's their own version of the religion or whatever. But you know, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, people understand within spiritual circles that seems very woo woo, but you know, ultimately it's not. You know, lots of people who have heart attacks or whatever, they die of a broken heart. You know, they're not enjoying their marriage, or they're not in touch with their kids like they hoped, or they're not doing the job that they want to do because they're retired. Like these energetic causes of the things, if you think about them a little bit, usually you'll see that, oh wow, there's a lot of truth to that, and there's a lot of truth to the energetic connection to all these things. And I've had enough psychedelic experiences to know that, like, the connection between everything around us and just all of the oneness, and
it's really like it's sticky. Like we're like stuck into this environment with one another and into other dimensions that are here on top of things, and we're affecting things. Famously, it's said that like when we set off the atomic bombs, it affected a lot of dimensions, and it was like like was devastating to not just us, and that the aliens took a larger interest in the human race after that to try to make sure that never happens again, because we fucked with more than just the people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Rest in peace. Although I'm sure all those people are back to life, living some new life now, fighting against nuclear war, maybe, or writing Godzilla movies, something like that. So anyway, sorry, I'm traveling. I'm in California at the Casa de Digger, and sometimes Digger is a loud man, and it's not worth shushing him. I prefer podcasts to be fucking authentic, and like this is the thing right now. Anyway, I love the Digger. He's the best. So yes, to the diggers that I reminded how important the energetic part of things are, just to say, if it's the energetic part is helping you really long term cure cancer, or similar things that like these states can't be unless the energy is there for them to be. Similarly, if your energy system that is governing all your glands and stuff isn't functioning right, like for me, it wasn't even like about like I want to live forever. That's a nice kicker, but it was about the idea that like my systems were going to start to malfunction, and I like kind of saw a correlation. I think immediately with my mom had always been a huge roller coaster person, and she had gotten to a certain point where she was starting to get sick. And my mom's also another person I've been trying to get on this kick. And next time I go out to North Carolina to my family's complex, I'm gonna try to maybe do a week of 5 Tibetan Rites with her to try to get her to do it as well. I was encouraged at the time when I had that deep meditation to that like I should share the information, and don't be so fast to think that that this is all you keeping yourself youthful when you literally a decade ago, I think at the time maybe it was like a decade and change, when you felt the pulse, the need to like change your life in a couple different ways and literally implement and say, yes, I agree with this, or I am close enough to an agreement with this. Obviously, I was a little bit like on the fence about it. I was like, it's working. That was what I said to them when I was in the meditation, and they said, I don't remember exactly how they said it, but it was like, they were like, you pighead, like you're not going to give credit to the thing you've been doing for a fucking decade and change now. So I was like, yes, I was in Florida, and at the time I shared it with like a bunch of my my friend Sam. Shout out to Sam. A bunch of his I don't know if they were family members or whatever, but there was a couple of people. And I don't know if I ever sent the information to, I think I did at some point, but I'm going to actually send them again because I want to double check. I feel like maybe I sent half of the information on the 5 rights to his like aunt or good friend of theirs that I was telling about. And I was trying to convince him as well. So this is something that I've been recommending to people that I love. Love my ex-wife. I'm not recommending to her to curse her. I adore her, and she's been going a little gray. I'm sorry, Patty. Just don't respect. But I was just trying to preach the advocacy of it, only because I'm personally having very good results, and I have been doing it a very long time now, and I really was spooked by this book's sense. It just made everything that he took back from the monastery. I was just like, that's brilliant. That makes perfect sense. It's brilliant. That makes perfect sense. Brilliant. Makes perfect sense. there may be a little bit more in the book, but really the general tenets of the book were about the diet, the abstaining from sex, using your sexual impulse to channel, because like think about it, when you're making sperm, it's like you're making youth. Take that youth, take all that energy of youth and pull it into your body. There's definitely something there. If you're abstinent out there and you want a fucking good reason to stop masturbating, here's one. Like, if you want to, it's the information is legit. Like I said, I've done it at times, where I've just been like, well, in the meantime, I'm going to do that, every time I get the impulse to, whack off or something, because there's no lady in my life and whatever else. And sometimes in general, just like to get rid of the pulse and focus on what I'm doing. I use the little, just, I try to focus my energy, clamp up and like, pull it up into my heart chakra and just disperse the energy. It definitely works. I don't know if they tell you to like pull it higher than your heart chakra in the book. I don't remember if I'm purely accurate on everything. If anybody wants more accuracy than what's been working for me, check out the book. But yeah, it's when I first did it, actually, I will tell you this too. I remember having a really, I don't remember exactly what it was, but kind of just a euphoric experience. And like I had done it, and 15 minutes later, I just had a pep in my step that I hadn't had in a while, because I was in really bad chronic pain at that point, I think, when this happened. And maybe I'm fucking up dates here. I'm sorry. It's all a fucking blur of exactly when this was implemented into my life. But I can remember just feeling like, I'd been feeling like garbage, and I remember doing it and feeling really good. And that was like, just, yeah, maybe it was slightly after my first mushroom experience then that I came upon this book. It would make sense, because that was when like things in my life became very intuitive, and like I was just kind of like one thing to another. I'd read it on the internet, but that's possible. Sorry, I'm just I'm very innocent, so I allow myself to make mistakes, because I do the best I can. But also then I sit there and like I worry about things. It's so funny. There's like a lot of talk now about the people that don't have an inner monologue, and I'm like, oh my god, I wish I was one of those people when I was doing my podcast, because I'll say things and I like to be truthful as much as I can be, but at the same time, sometimes I'll be talking about something that deserves some fucking dates and times, and which is why sometimes I'll write a whole script for the show. Sometimes I'll just like bullet point a lot of information. But if it's something that I think I can talk about by myself, I just go for it and do it. But then when I'm doing that, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm, yeah. So this might be just like a year or two later from like the aura reading time. I'm not sure, but whatever. Because I was 30 when the chronic pain was hitting me, so would have been sometime within like 30, 31 maybe, in the early days of like the meditation stuff, when I got like even deeper into the meditation. So, which still puts it at like, I guess 11 years or something like that. So, which I guess makes sense, because it was like 9 years ago. Okay, go. Sorry, I'm like, now I feel like a fucking jerk, man. I got to get all these freaking dates right. The part of me likes to be honest is like, wait a second, I think you're slightly exaggerating. Sorry, I was slightly exaggerating. I just turned 43, by the way. It was my birthday. So if I was like 31 at most, we'll say 12 years, of doing the Tibetan 5 rites. And then Trying to think, what's like some of the like big things to share with you. I think I covered all the stuff to know about doing the moves. Yeah, just go to YouTube or something like that and type in Tibetan 5 Rites, and you'll see a bunch of people who will demonstrate them for you, probably better than I just did. Talking about the breathing and the prana, and that's an important thing because a lot of these people who demonstrate, they won't necessarily, you'll see them breathing and stuff, but they won't necessarily like remind you or explain to you why that's important. You're breathing in prana. And for those of you who don't know what prana is energy that apparently comes out of the sun and is like a big part beyond like oxygen of what like energizes human beings and like keeps us going. You know, look it up for a more fucking detailed explanation, but I accepted long ago that it was an important energy. That, you know, people who are like breatharians, they'll say, you know, they just breathe. Well, they're breathing the prana, they're surviving on prana. I believe in prana, and you should too. I think there's a decent amount of information you could get to sort of prove prana, the existence of prana, whatever level. But I don't have it for you right now. The pumping the energy of the universe through your energetic system whilst the energy is going, because again, it's like this is the invisible energy that is governing your body. There's a great book that I recommend all the time called The Field, where they prove that basically we grow into the adult version of ourselves from an energetic blueprint that is in our fields from conception. And I highly recommend it. It's something McTaggart, I think, wrote The Field. That bit of the energy being governing the thing, you're growing into the thing, and that energy field's the field that's spinning, right? And as we get older, they believe that the field would start spinning out of time, and that when the different parts of your chakra system started spinning differently, well, now one's going slow, one stops completely, one other one's going fast or too fast, and it's not in proper alignment. So you're spinning to get it all going, and then you're pumping this energy of the prana through your energetic system to soup up your production of various things like collagen and whatever else that are controlled by the different gland systems in your body. And again, I'm not the fucking best person to fucking explain this without any sort of notes and script, but I've been doing it for a long time. And I believe in its advocacy, so I'm just doing the best job that I can. Please forgive me for maybe sounding a little bit like an idiot. But there are people who can talk to you about this at greater length. And of course, you can check out the book. So let's see. So I think I covered that pretty good. I don't know. I think I'm kind of spent on this thing. I believe in this. I've been telling my mom. I've been telling my ex-wife. I've been telling my girl and my friends. I love you, my audience, and I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time. I believe in the advocacy of the Tibetan wisdom contained in this book, and it's makes sense to me. Take these pieces of information, maybe don't drink so much when you're eating. If you were like me, I used to douse every meal that I had. And then I went, oh, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. And I stopped doing that. And, and I felt a lot better too. Like meals would be better. Like it was better for me. I should say, as beyond that. And having a slightly simpler diet. Like I'm somebody who likes to dip things in sauce, and I'm really like crazy. But at the same time, I have gotten a little simpler in the ways that I can from the wisdom of the Tibetan monks. And, and I've tried to use my sexual energy more responsibly for myself by trying to channel it into physical energy and vitality, by, sucking in my stuff on the bottom and, pulling it up through my system into my heart and, just letting that energy disperse into other things. That's a youthful energy, and I really like, who can deny that? So yeah, do remember the things that I told you. They have served me really well, and I was hassled by my spirits to give this information out and to not be so what is the word, egotistical or something. Yeah, egotistical, as to think that it was just me. I was special. I've been doing something very special, and it came to us from this monastery, and it made perfect sense to me, and I have been doing it, and I do have to give the responsibility for a lot of my good luck in not really doing too much aging over this past bunch of years as a 43-year-old guy. Thank you, Five Rites. Thank you, Tibetan monks. Thank you, person who brought this information back from that general and whatnot. It's working for me. And I would love to pass the information on to you. So please check that out. And I've got 2 Kickstarters that you can sign up for notifications for. One is for Sugar and Bones magazine, but the other one is for the Solfeggio transmissions. It's about to go live in Friday, and I'm really excited. It's all healing frequency music. Frequency is really important. We've got 432 frequency opening and closing the record, and Solfeggio transmissions is the 9 Solfeggio healing frequencies that all the songs are tuned to. And so you can check out this record, and you can just like bask in the healing energy of creation, of mathematics. It's really cool. The songs are great. It's just like pop and rock and soul, and it's really just a mix of spiritually moving but like universal type stuff, not like preachy or anything, just stuff that I think will hopefully uplift you, and you'll have it on CD. You can put it in your car, whatever it is, and the first 1,000 CDs that we sell are all these collectible gold. They're like gold flame editions, so they'll like, whether they look gold or like, we haven't figured out the exact design yet, but we have the picture, but we're just still figuring out exactly how we're going to do it. So, but we're calling it the gold flame edition. So it's going to be some gold kind of version of the cover that we have. It's really cool. You can check out the album now. It's free anywhere on Spotify or whatever else, and like listen to it. But this is like, to raise money for a lot of other things we're doing, and also just to raise money about sound frequency and the healing potential of sound and harmonic frequencies. And it's just really important for people to learn this, and I want to help spread the information around. Anyway, that's the other thing, I guess, is that I got, Cool Skeek Alive podcast is every Wednesday and Saturday still. It's fucking dope. Entertainment shit. Saturdays, I recommend the best movies and the best TV shows. And Wednesdays, I talk more at length about whatever things, but sometimes I recommend things that I love too. I just did an episode on Robert Redford. That was fun. And of course, if you love music, all your favorite bands suck. 55 episodes or something like that of my favorite bands. I got taken off of Spotify because I was playing too long of clips of like my favorite songs, but you can still listen to it anywhere except for Spotify. And I just haven't made new episodes, but 55 episodes. Go get into some music, and it's awesome. Anyway, I love you. I hope you appreciate this information that I'm passing on to you. It really is meaningful to me. I really have been doing it for a very long time, and I think I have been benefiting from the results, especially according to the intangible voices that like to talk to me when I get into deep meditation. Anyway, I love you all, and appreciate you listening to the show, and I will talk to you next time on another fucking awesome episode of Everything They Don't Want You to Know. Love you guys. Peace out.
There's something in the water. There's something in the air. The proof is all around us.
It's not a matter of time, sure as the blaze in your eyes. I sense a subtle shift, instincts I can't resist, weary of wolves in disguise. Drunk on a gallon of wine, red as the rivers you dried.
that lie beneath, words that could eat you alive.